Okay, so good evening everyone. I hope everyone is going good. So let me start today's session. So let me share my screen first. I hope my screen is visible for everyone. So let me know in the chat box. Okay. Okay. So today we will start with keywords. So what is keyword? Okay, in Java. So anyone have any idea what is keyword? What is keyword? Please let me know in the chat box. Yes, predefined value. Yes. So what is keyword? So keyword is nothing but it is a predefined words. Okay, what we can say? Those are predefined words. Okay, or we can also say them as reserved words. Okay, reserved words. Okay, we call it as predefined words or reserved words. Okay, those are already predefined in Java, so we just need to use those words. Okay, so those are keywords. Okay, so those are predefined words and reserved words. So coming to the thing, why we use these keywords, right? So without keywords in Java we cannot write a single program. Okay, so without keywords in Java we can't even write a single program. Write a single program. Okay, so in order to write a single program in Java we need help of keywords. Okay, so some keywords are like class. Let me give some examples. So class. Okay, so final, it is also one type of keyword. And there are some primitive data types. Okay, so those are int, float, all those comes under keywords only. Okay, so like int, float. Okay, all these also comes under keywords only. So without the help of keywords we cannot even write a single program in Java. So that much important the keywords are in Java. Okay, so with the help of these keywords we can build the structure of the program. What we can do? We can build the structure of the program. We can build the structure of the program. Okay, and apart from that, in keywords we are having multi-purpose keywords also and single purpose keywords also. Okay, what is multi-purpose keywords? Means we will be using multiple, means the keywords which can use multiple times or multiple in multiple ways. For the multiple ways, that type of keywords we can call it as multi-purpose keywords. Okay, and we are also having single purpose keyword. Okay, so there are two types of keywords. One is multi-purpose keywords and single purpose keywords. Okay, so the keywords which are used for single purpose are single purpose keywords. Okay, so if I want to give example for multi-purpose keywords, so I will take as final keyword. Okay, so this final keyword will act has multi-purpose keyword in Java. And coming to the single purpose, I can use some keyword like extend. Okay, so this is used for inheritance. In inheritance, we will use this extends keyword. So this is act as a single purpose keyword in Java. Okay, so we are having two types of keywords, that is multi-purpose keyword and single purpose keyword. So multi-purpose keywords we can use for multiple purposes, and coming to the single purpose keyword we can use for only single purpose. Then that type of keywords we will be calling it as single purpose keywords. Okay, so every keyword in Java will be having their unique meaning. Okay, so the meaning will be different from each to for every keyword there will be different meaning. Okay, so keywords are very important in Java. So each and every keyword, each and every keyword, every keyword have their own meaning, have their own meaning. Okay, and these keywords are very important in Java because without the help of keywords we cannot even build the structure of the program. Is it clear what is keyword? Let me know. Is it clear? Yes, what, how, yes, someone mentioned that Jashwant, so there is 68 keywords in Java. Yes, there are so many keywords in Java. Yes, is it clear? Keywords, what is the purpose of keyword? Why keywords are important in Java? Is it clear for everyone? Can I move forward? Please let me know in the chat box. Okay. So coming to the next, let we see the structure of Java program. Okay. So the structure of Java program. The structure of Java program. Okay. So the structure, the syntax will look like this. So let me write. So class and followed by class name, and we will be having flower braces. Within this flower braces we can write some properties. Some properties we can write. So those properties are like, so we can have main method inside this class. Okay, main method we can write. Okay, so coming to the second, we can also write constructor. Okay, constructors we can write. And coming to the next, we can also have states. Okay, so coming to the next, we can also have behaviors. Okay, coming to the next, we can also have blocks. Okay, so inside this class we can have all these types of properties. Okay, don't bother about these properties, you will let you know in future also, but I will say a single definition about this. Okay, about these properties I will define in single word. Okay, so let me define. So constructor, first one is constructor. Why we use constructors and blocks? Okay, so in Java, the constructors and blocks are used for initializing the states. Okay, or we can say initializing the variables. Okay, it is used for initializing the variables. Okay, so coming to the states. coming to the states. Why we use these states? States are nothing but it is a property of the class where it stores the data. Okay, so nothing but it is a property which stores the data. Okay, what is state? So it is a property which stores data, which stores data. Okay, let me give some example. Okay, so if we take in Java, so in order to store any values, what we will do, we will declare the variable like int a is equals to 10, right? So this 10 value, the value 10, we are trying to store in this variable, right? So these are nothing but states. Okay, so which stores any data, those are called as states. Okay, so it is a property which stores some data. Okay, so this we call it as states. Okay, and let me give one more example. So in order to store string, we will be using string keyword, right, and some name, and let me write something. Okay, so this is also state. So the things are the variables which store some data. Okay, all those are states. Okay, so coming to the next, behaviors. So coming to the next, behavior. What is behaviors? Okay, so behaviors are nothing but methods in the Java. Okay, those are nothing but methods in the Java. Okay, so those are nothing but methods in the Java. It is used to perform some specific task. Okay, methods are used in Java to perform some specific task. So the methods, behaviors, both are same. Okay, those are also properties which are used to perform some specific task. Okay, so those methods or behaviors will be containing some instructions. Okay, so with the help of that instructions, some task will be performed. Okay, so what are behaviors? Behaviors are nothing but those are instructions. Those are instructions. Those are instructions which are used to perform some specific task. Which are used to perform some specific task. Okay, so what are behaviors? Behaviors are nothing but methods, or we can also say as a property of the class which is used to perform some specific task. Okay, so coming to the next, main method. Okay, what is this main method? In Java, the main method is very important. Okay, so this main method is only the entry point of the program. What it is? It is the entry point of the program. It is the entry point of the program. Okay, or we can also say it as the execution of the program will start from here. Okay, or we can also say the execution of the program, of the Java program will start from here, from main method. Okay, who will call this main method? The main method is called by the JVM. Okay, yesterday in architecture we have learned JVM. What is JVM? Right? So the JVM is responsible for calling main method. Okay, so JVM is responsible for calling main method. Okay, so whenever JVM calls main method, that is the starting point of execution of the program. Okay, it is the entry point of the program. From main method, the code will start executing. Okay, the execution will start from the main method of the program. Okay, so let me give syntax of main method. So where we will write main method, everything let me show. So class and some class name. Okay, so we will be having flower braces. Okay, so in between this, okay, so inside the class we will be writing main method. So how we will write main method? Public static void main string arguments, string args. Okay, so this is main method and we will close the curly braces too. Okay, so this is the syntax of writing the main method. Okay, what is this public static void main? So you will get to know in depth in future, but for now just I will brief. Okay, so I will say about these terms a little bit, just to give an idea, but in depth you will get to know after completing total sessions. Okay, so let me give a brief idea what is this keywords. So first, public. What is this public keyword? So public is also a keyword. Okay, what is this public keyword? We will be mentioning main method as a public because it need to be accessible for everyone, for every class. Okay, so if we mention public keyword, okay, for the main method, then it will be accessible for everyone. So that is the reason main method is having public keyword. Okay, so it defines it is accessible for everyone. It is accessible for everyone, for every class, for every class. Okay, okay. Coming to the next keyword, which is static. Static is also a keyword. Okay, what is this static? Okay, so statics is nothing but why we use this static means generally in Java, so the states and behaviors are there, right? So what is state? States are nothing but properties which stores the data. And what are behaviors? Behaviors are also nothing but properties which are used to perform some specific task, right? So the states and behaviors are divided into two types. Okay, so based on this some declaration, they are divided into two types. Okay, so states and behaviors are of two types, so what are those two types? Let me show what are those two types. So first one is static and second one is non-static. Second one is non-static. Okay, so we can have static states and non-static states, static behaviors and non-static behaviors. Okay, so the states and behaviors are divided into two types. One is static and non-static. We can have static states, static behaviors, non-static states, non-static behaviors. Okay, so these static states will be declared with static keyword. Okay, these static states will be declared with static keyword. Let me give some example like static int value is equals to 10. Then I can say that this variable is of type static. Okay, then I can say this is the static state. Okay, so in the same way I can have behavior also. So if you see here, so this is the behavior. Okay, this is method in Java. So methods, behaviors both are same, right? So if we declare any method with the static keyword, then we can say them as static method or static behaviors. Okay, and coming to the non-static, how we can define non-static? So to let me give some one example. So if I need to have non-static states, then I won't declare with any keyword, just simply I will write int value is equals to 10. Okay, so if there is no static keyword in front of data type, then I can say it is a non-static state. Okay, so here in main method, if I remove this static keyword, then this will become non-static behavior or non-static method. Okay, so if there are static states or static behaviors, we will declare with the keyword called static. Otherwise we won't declare with static. If we won't declare with static keyword, those are non-static members. If we declare with static keyword, those are static members. Is it clear? So why the static keyword is added in main method? You may get this doubt, right? Because as I said before, the main method is called by the JVM, right? Here I said the JVM is responsible for calling the main method, right? So as the JVM is calling, it cannot create the object. Okay, so let me say one more thing. So the static members, okay, what the static members, if we declare any members with the static keyword, those are static members, right? So if we want to access the static members, we need to access them with the help of class name. Okay, so we need to access the static members with the help of static with the help of class name. Okay, and coming to the non-static members, the non-static members we will be accessing with the help of object. Okay, so we can access with object. Okay, what is this object? How we will create object? You will guys let to know in the future. Okay, so just know that static we can access with the class name. Means if I give this is the class name, right? Here I will be giving class name. So class name dot that static property. If I want to access this, what I will do, think that it is present inside some main class. Okay, then main dot value. What is the variable name? Value. Main dot value. Then it will give this value. Okay, so as I said, the JVM is responsible for calling main method, right? JVM cannot create the object, so it need to call directly, right? So the class name will be known to the JVM. So if JVM need to call the static method, the simplest way is calling the main method with the class name. So that is the reason main method is static. Okay, so in order to make it simple to call by JVM, the main method is static. The main method is defined as static. Okay, and coming to the next, why it is void? What is void? Okay, void. So why it is void means main method cannot return anything. Okay, so instead of this void, I can write any data type here. There are some data types, we will discuss it later. So we can write any data types here. Okay, if we try to write any data types, this main method need to return something. Okay, but this main method is called by the JVM for the execution, so it should not return anything. So that is the reason we will mention void. Void is nothing but it represents that the method is not returning anything. Okay, so what it represents? It represents the method is not returning anything. Is not returning anything. Okay, so coming to the next, which is main. Main is nothing but method name. As I said, right? So behaviors, methods, both are same. So this is the method, main method. Okay, this is the name of the method. Okay, so coming to this is nothing but string arguments. Okay, so it is nothing but string of arguments. So string args. So let me string args. So what is this? Okay, so this is the representation of array in Java. So this brackets is the representation of array in Java. So this represents that array of arguments. Okay, array of string type arguments. What it defines? It defines an array of string of arguments. An array of string arguments. Okay, so this is also called as command line. Some command line argument. Command line argument. Okay, so this is nothing but an array of string arguments, or we can also call it as command line arguments. Why we call it as command line argument means whatever the input which we give in command prompt, that will be printed with the help of this string arguments. So that is the reason this thing is called as command line argument. So how to work this with these string arguments, let me show practically. So let me take a notepad. Let me take a notepad. So where is that? So let me search. Okay. So let me write some program. Okay. So import. Don't worry about the code. Java.lang. Okay. And class. Let me give main has class name. And let me have main method inside it. Public static void main string arguments. Okay, so and let me close all the braces. And here, so I said, right, so this is useful to get the inputs from the command line, right? So if I give inputs in the command line, so I need to print that values here. So to print that, I am writing some logic. So as it is an array, so if I give some values in the command prompt, that need to print that array. So to print that array, I am writing the code. So int I is equals to 0. So I less than args dot length. Okay, I plus plus. And so let me close these braces. So inside that, I am thinking to print system dot out dot println. Okay, this is the statement which we use to print anything on the console. So what I need to print? Whatever I send the values. So those are stored in the form of array. Okay. Okay. So here, if I give any input in the command prompt, so that input will be taken by this string arguments and it will be stored as an array inside. Okay, it will be stored as an array inside because it is representing the array. Okay, I said, right, this brackets represents array. So this is the variable. This is the reference variable. Okay, so whatever the inputs I give in command prompt, that inputs will be taken by these arguments and later it will try to print here. Okay, so let's try to print whatever I give in the command prompt. So let me open my command prompt first. So sorry, let me save this first. So Control S. So let me save here only. So let me give some name like main dot java. So my class name is main, so I'm giving the same as file name. I have saved it, and let me go back. Okay, and I think that file is there. So let me open my command prompt. Command prompt is here only. Okay, so in order to execute, what I need to do, I need to traverse to that path, right? So where my file is present here. Okay, so let me, where it is present in desktop. Okay, so practical. So yeah, here it is. So in order to get path, so I'm going right clicking and clicking on properties. So this is the path. So let me get, so this is the path where it's stored. And let me go here and let me change the directory, or otherwise you can do one thing. So you can just double click here and click on cmd. So this is also fine. So it will directly take you to here. Okay, so let me do this. And what I need to do, I need to compile, right? So to get dot class file first, so observe here, I will be generating dot class file. So what is the command? Java c, what is my file name? Main dot java. Okay, so I am error class interface enum or record expected class main. So main error, unnamed classes are in or a premier feature or disabled by default. So public static void main string x. So let me, some error I'm getting, so let me see this. Okay, so let me try to execute one more time. So let me close this command prompt. So let me open command prompt here only. Okay, so now java c main dot java. Yeah, it's compiled. See here, if you guys observe here, so I'm getting dot class file here, right? So now what I need to do, I need to write one more command, right? So java file name. So with this command, what I will give, I will give some inputs like 1, some space 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are all the inputs which I am giving. Okay, so these inputs will be taken by that string arguments, okay, that arguments variable, and it will store inside as a string, as a array format, and that array of values will be printed on the console. Okay, so let me click on enter. So enter. See, if you guys observe here, I'm getting the output, right? Whatever the input I have given, I'm getting the same output, 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so this is how we will work with command line argument. Okay, I hope everyone is clear. So let me know. Please try to chat in the chat box whether it is clear or I need to explain one more time. Okay, So I hope it is clear for everyone. Okay, so this is how we will work with command line arguments. Okay, and till now we have discussed about main method too, right? So now let me ask some questions. Okay, my question is, so these are all the questions which so many people will come across in interviews. So is it mandatory to have main method? Is it mandatory to have main method? Is it mandatory to have main method? So let me know if anyone knows the answer. Yes. So someone is saying yes. Is it mandatory? Please let me know if anyone knows the answer. No, ma'am. Okay. So can you, without main method, JVM cannot execute program. Okay. So Pallavi, can you define why it is not mandatory? Please chat in the chat box. By using static method. Okay. So let me explain. It is not mandatory to have main method. Okay. So it is not mandatory to have main method. Okay. But main method is important in order to execute the program. Okay. So the answer is, it is not mandatory. It is not mandatory. But if we want to execute, if we want to execute the program, then it is mandatory. Then it is mandatory to have. Okay, so let me give some example. Like, think that there are two cars. Okay, think that there are two cars. One car is with petrol, one car is without petrol. Okay, so can't I start the car without petrol? Okay, can't I start? I cannot, right? So I cannot start the car without petrol. But the car with petrol, I can go to ride, right? With the help of that car, right? So in the same way, the class with main method can execute, but the class without main method we cannot execute that program. Okay, so is it clear? Is it clear why main method, why it is not mandatory, the main method? Is it clear? Okay, so I'm asking, is is it mandatory to have main method? My question is it mandatory to have main method? Okay, I'm saying that it is not mandatory. Okay, but if we want to execute the program, then main method is mandatory. Okay, so let me take example. Think that there are two cars. Okay, one car is with petrol, and other car is without petrol. Okay, so the car with petrol I can drive, I can go to ride with the help of that car, right? So because one car is having petrol, right? So can I drive the car without petrol? Can I go ride in that car? Can I go for ride in that car without petrol? No, right? In the same way, the class with main method can be executable. The class without main method cannot execute. I hope it is clear. Okay. So my example is simple. There are two cars. One car is with petrol, another car is without petrol. I can go for ride with the car which is having petrol, but I cannot go for ride with the car which is not having petrol. Right? In the same way, if a class is having main method, then it is executable. Otherwise, it is not executable. Okay. Okay. So let me ask one more question then. So here, if you observe, let me ask. So I wrote the method like public static void main, okay, string x. Okay, I wrote main method like this. My question is, if I write static public void main string x, so can't I write main method like this? Can't I write main method like this? This is the original format of main method which we usually write. So can't I write main method like this by shuffling these two keywords? Can't I write? If I write like this, it is not executable. That program is not executable. Please let me know. Yes, we can. Okay. So someone answered, Santosh. Okay. Yes, we can. Okay. So we can execute like this also by shuffling these two keywords. We can write main method like this also because those are simply keywords. Okay, we can write keywords in any order, no matter what. Okay, so it is executable. If we write main method like this also, it is executable. That program will execute. Okay, so let me have one more question. So, can I have more than one main method in class? Can I have more than one main method? One main method in one class? Can I have? Please let me know if anyone knows. So we cannot have. No, can have. Yes, we can have. Okay, so we can have more than one method. Okay, so let me write an example for that. So think that this is the class and some class name I am giving some demo. Okay, so class demo. Okay, so here I am writing public static void main string x. Okay, so let me try to copy and paste. I hope it won't work. Yeah, it's working fine. Okay. Okay, so there is one concept in Java like method overloading. So we can have, with the help of that principle, we can have more than one main method, but the main method with this arguments, with this string arguments command, okay, with this command will be called by the JVM, and other methods we need to call manually. Okay, so this main method with this command will be called by the JVM, but the main methods other than which is not having command line argument, those methods we need to call manually by calling that main, but by calling that main method. Okay, I hope it's clear. Yes. Okay, so let me go to other topic, which is identifier. So identifiers. So what is this identifier? I hope everyone knows, but let me brief about this. So what is identifier? So identifiers are nothing but those are the names given in the programming language. Okay, so those are the names given in programming language. Given in programming language. Okay, so if we take any class, okay, class will be having class name, right? Method will be having method name. Like this, variable having variable name, array will be having array name, right? If we try to go through like this, we will be having so many names. Okay, so interface will be having interface name, enum will be having enum name. Okay, so for everything we will be having some names, so those names are called as identifiers. Okay, so all the names which are given in the programming language, whatever the names which we try to give while writing the code, all those names we will be calling it as identifier, because with the help of that name only we can identify those properties or those variables or those methods or those classes. Okay, with the help of names only we can identify those things. So that is the reason those are called as identifiers. The names which we give in the programming language are called as identifiers. Okay, so let me give a small example. So example, so if I write anything like int value is equals to 10. Okay, so this value I am trying to store inside one variable. So this is the variable name. Okay, nothing but this is the identifier which I have given. Okay, for this value, to identify this value, I have given a name which is called as identifier. Okay, this name we will be calling it as identifier in order to identify this value. So if I try to print value, okay, I will get this value. Okay, so in order to identify this value, I have given some name. That name is called as identifier. So there are some rules for identifier. So let me brief about it. Rules. So what are those rules? So the first rule is the name, the identifier name should be a combination of alphanumeric. Okay, should be a combination of alphanumeric. Okay, so it should be a combination of alphanumeric, alphabets plus numericals, or we can have only alphabets also. Or means we cannot start the identifier with numeric. That is one more rule. So we can means alphanumeric. We can have alphanumeric combination for a identifier name. And coming to the next rule, identifiers cannot contain special characters. Expect two special characters. Okay, so cannot contain special characters. Expect except except dollar comma underscore. These two special characters are allowed while writing the names in programming language, but no other special characters are allowed other than this. And coming to the third rule, we cannot start a we cannot start an identifier with the digit. Okay, so cannot start an identifier with digits. Okay, so we cannot write like something like 1 2 abc adv. Okay, we cannot write like this. Okay, that is the wrong. So we cannot start any identifier with the digit. And coming to the fourth rule, cannot have spaces. We cannot have spaces in identifier. Cannot have spaces. Okay, so let me give some example. Like whenever we are trying to write any name, if we write like this, like value space number, this is one name. Okay, so in between I am trying to add space. This is the illegal identifier. Okay, we should not give any space. So we should not give any space. It should be like this. So in between the identifier we cannot add space. And coming to the next rule, keywords cannot be identifier. So we know, right? So there are some keywords in Java that keywords cannot be identifier, cannot be used as identifier. You cannot use the keywords as identifiers. Okay, so these are all the rules of identifier. Identifier is nothing but simply the names. Those are the names which are given in programming language. Okay, so now we'll move to other topic, which is data type. Data type. What is this data type? I know some of you guys know, but let me give some definition for this. So data type. So what is data type? So data type is nothing but it defines what type of data it need to store. Okay, what it defines? It defines what type of data it need to store. It defines what type of data it need to store. These data types will define what type of data it need to store. And the data types are two types. Okay, so primitive data types. First one is primitive data types. And the second is non-primitive data types. Non-primitive data types. Okay, so primitive data types. These primitive data types are already predefined. Okay, those are already predefined keywords. Already primitive data types are already predefined keywords. But coming to the non-primitive data types, we, the user, need to define it. Okay, who need to define? User need to define. Need to define. Okay, so let me give all the primitive data type. Let me list out all the primitive data types which we are having in Java. So first one is byte, and we are having short, int, long, float, double. So let me list out sequentially. Float, float, double, and we are having char. We are having char and boolean. So these 8 are the primitive data types which are present in Java. Okay, so this byte, short, long, int, these data types are used to store decimal values. To store decimal values. Sorry. To store integer values. Integer values. Okay, so coming to the float and double, let me wow. So coming to the float and double, it stores decimal values. Decimal values. Okay, so coming to the char, it is used. This data type is used to store characters. Okay, so coming to the boolean, it is used to store boolean values are nothing but true or false. Right? So I hope everyone know what is integer value. Single digit values or values without any dot is known as integer values. Okay, normal numeric values. And coming to the decimal values, which we will represent with the help of dot. Okay, which is having both the precision and the scale. We will be calling those as decimal values. So that type of values, if we want to store, we need to use some data type called as float or double. Okay, so we will be using char to store characters, and we will go with boolean to store true or false. Okay, so these are the 8 data types which we are present in Java. Okay, so some may have doubt like string is also a data type, primitive data type, right? But in Java, in other languages, string is a data type, primitive data type. But come in Java, string is not a primitive data type. It is an object. Okay, it is a non-primitive data type. Okay, so string is non-primitive data type. Okay, so let me give example for non-primitive data type. Example, right? So string. Okay, is a best example for non-primitive data type. I hope everyone is clear. So let me know in the chat box. Is it clear? So any doubts in today's session?